Hello, my name's Arthur Durant. I'm from Milford, and I'm here today because I'm a Eastern Maine participant of EMDC. I don't have a big title yet. Maybe someday, but I'm working on with people completing their high set testing and high school graduation requirements, and I don't do any testing, but I tutor them, and I've been really liking it, and I'm really looking forward to doing more with that. Thank you.
I'm Katia Graves. I am also a woman in recovery. I was in a program out here, and I'm actually living in Penobscot County now, and Kim had invited me. I've been working with EMDC, and they've helped me overcome so many barriers, like not being seen as my criminal background and being seen as who I can be as an employee, through work experience at the Cedar Road Detox, and it's been life-changing, truly.
Hi, my name is Kristen Hervist. I'm a shelter navigator at the Preble Street Hope House. I am also a participant in the Penobscot County Treatment Court, set to graduate April 15th. I am here because Kim invited me.
What's the baby's name?
Theo, short for Theodore.
Hi, Theodore. Theodore. I think that's Theodore.
I'm Rob Anderson from Aroostook County. I live in Brewer here in Penobscot. Workforce Development Specialist with EMDC. And also was a member of the treatment court. Graduated about a year, some months ago.
I'm Aaron Rogers. I'm from Washington County, but I live in Penobscot County like the last 20 years or so, except for the 3.5 I spent in Somerset County in the jail there. I got home, been in recovery since August of 2021, so that's going really well, thank God, right? And I got involved through some friends that I heard about before, and they got me some help, and I got an interview, and got a job placement, and I'm still there, and I absolutely love it. I help people every day find housing, and manage properties, and really work with the city bank or two, with the programs that they have, getting unhoused people in the homes, which is awesome. It's really gratifying. And helping other people get into homes, right? It's a good part of your life. It's fantastic. I hadn't got my license back when I got home, and luckily I live a few blocks from work, but I also got involved in the program to get an e-bike through the Department of Labor and the Department of Transportation, which was fantastic. So until the snow landed, I had a way to and from work and to appointments and anywhere else I needed to go to meetings, which is awesome. Yeah, I hope to pass that on to somebody that can get my license. We're working on getting a car now, so maybe I can find someone else that needs it more than I do, right? And pass that on to share the world. I'm here Bob asking to come and speak, so here I am. I appreciate all of your time. Thank you.
You just showed me an apartment too.
Dual purpose. I'm Jennifer King. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at EMDC. I am here. I really enjoy getting to know what everybody's story is and really participating in this today.
So, hi everybody, I'm Laura Fortman. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Labor. I've been Commissioner, I was going to say this before we gives misinformation.
Longest standing commissioner.
Who says that? Please spreading that inaccurate information. But I did serve as Commissioner of Labor under John Baldacci for 8 years, and now under Janet Rose for 7. So I've been doing this with a little other stuff in between for 15 years. But the reason that I'm here today, other than Lee invited me, is to get to hang out with my friend.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Liberty, I've got a copy of his book here.
Oh boy.
And the other reason is really, to listen to your stories. And Julian pointed out to me that we had met before, and he was kind enough to put his story down on paper. And Aaron what you just said about the e-bikes. For me, I think that public policy should remain based on the people that we're trying to serve. So it helps me to hear from you, what are the things that actually support you and work for you? And what are the barriers that get in place that maybe we should be changing? So I'm going to listen to learn and hopefully come away with some actions that I can take to help all of us, to help you improve, achieve your aspirations and your goals, and selfishly to help the state of Maine, because we desperately need good workers. And from everything that I've heard, that's all we need here. So, thank you.
Hello, I'm Randy Liberty. I'm the Commissioner of Corrections, and I've been serving Governor Canada for the last 7 years. Prior to that, I was a warden of the Maine State Prison for 3 years. Prior to that, I was the Sheriff of Canada County, Chief there for 26 years. And I had the honor of working with Elizabeth for many years. Corps and Solar Corps, we had a Veterans Court, first Veterans Court in the state. Working with Laura, she's been mentoring me, trying to pull me along. As all of you know, it takes decades to train a man. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
So that's been her task. I believe in redemption. I'm the son of an inmate, and I guarded my father in the Sunset County Jail for 3 months, and so I've lived that life and struggle and challenges, and I believe that regardless of how you start, you don't have to stay that way. Like the circumstance you're in. I believe that we can all be redeemed, regardless of what we've done. I believe we've all made mistakes. I believe we're all a work in progress. And I've had the gift of being in positions of influence where I can make a difference, whether it be the Sheriff's Office or the Army or the Department of Corrections. I collaborate with everyone, and I don't forget that I work for you, right? I work for you, so if I'm not serving you in the best way that I can, I want to do that. I want to fix that. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Richard. One of the takeaways everybody will have is we've got 2 commissioners who lead by example. And not only what they're doing today, but if you look at their backgrounds, if you read Randy's book, you'll see all the steps that he took and all the challenges he faced as a young boy and all the jobs he's had throughout his career as a soldier, National Guard, sheriff, and other places.
Fired from all of them.
But he learned something from each one. And I think he's applying it now. And the same thing with Laura, who started her career doing all kinds of things. A lot of it was advocacy for women and equality, but it really makes a big difference on every step you take in your careers and in your jobs to be successful. So, Julian, you were nodding a little while ago. Do you want to start the conversation? Do you have any questions for the commissioners, or just talk about how your experience, how you've grown since you've been here?
Well, as I mentioned in what I wrote down, if you would have told me 5 years ago I'd be at where I'm at today, having my own apartment, having a stable job that doesn't cause me to go home exhausted every day like I've been working out in the sun all day, I'd tell you that you were lying, and not to yank my chain, because I didn't think it was possible. I thought I'd end up doing physical labor or working in a restaurant for the rest of my life, just like my father did. He never took vacation and worked his butt off every day just for us to scrape by. And I honestly never thought I'd get here, because I started working when I was 12 years old. I went straight to dishwashing at the restaurant my dad worked at, just to help us get by. And to see how far I've come, and a lot of that, almost all of it, is thanks to EMDC. I mean, I was working in a restaurant prior to this, and I was in a motorcycle accident, and it messed up my back and my sciatic nerve, so I can't run around or lift things like I used to. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and I have a prior arrest from back in 2020, and it was for a drug charge, pot out of the state of Georgia, and that barred me from so many jobs. I couldn't tell you. I applied to from the time I got out of physical therapy, which lasted 2 months, I had lost my job at Longhorn Steakhouse because I couldn't continue to go. And after I got out of physical therapy, I applied to well over 70 jobs. I managed to get one interview, and I ended up not getting picked because of my background. And it was for a janitorial job. And they wouldn't even pay me to clean toilets. And I, on a whim came to the Career Center because I didn't know where else to turn. I didn't even know this facility was here at first. And I sat down and started making a Maine job link account at the direction of the BES staff here, and told a little bit about my story, and I got linked up with EMDC. And I, based on my background, they thought that I would qualify for their program, so I took a chance and signed up, because I will say there's been many services in the past that I've signed up for, and they've led nowhere. A lot of hurry up and wait, and then you can't wait too long because then you start to lose everything. So you end up, going back to the same old thing. But in my situation, I wasn't able to. And I got linked up with Catherine Maynard, which is a WDS here at EMDC, and within a couple weeks, I was, enrolled and going to job site tours and, getting exposed to a number of different industries to try to find something that would work for me. And it was very eye-opening to see how many, you'd think like a hotel that, they change the beds and they do laundry. I didn't know that there was a whole maintenance wing that, it's a lot of jobs that you wouldn't know that are there, but because of progressive employment, I was able to learn about those positions and, actively apply for them, which was really nice. Because a lot of those kinds of positions, they aren't advertised, as well. And, it was just a really good experience overall, and getting the chance to do a work experience with EMDC to learn office etiquette, because my dream was to become an IT professional. I've always been extremely good with computers, and I never had the chance to go to college to get any kind of formal training or background in that, so I'm all self-taught. But because of EMDC's and progressive employment, I was able to get into a certification training for basic IT course, and sadly I didn't pass. I missed it by one question, but in that time it allowed me to learn that I was really good at helping people, not just with technology, but in general, and it led me to getting the work experience and learning that I could help people in different ways. And because of my initiative and willingness to learn, I took a chance and I applied to an open position with the NBC as see what happens. If anything, it's interview practice. And they offered me a position and I took it. And it's where I'm at now.
There's so much there. And it was as you were talking, it was just like, hey, was progressive employment something you considered? And you immediately went into, yes, there's progressive employment. That was helpful. I don't know if people know that there's a progressive employment training program happening right down the hall today, so that more people will get familiar with that particular model and hopefully use it. So I was very, very happy to hear that progressive employment.
Just find out for you.
So Julie could probably explain it better than I can, but.
So currently, progressive employment is a pilot program based out of 3 locations. You got to be within 40 miles of Lewiston, Bangor, and Chias Career Centers, and it's a program that you can sign up for that allows you to get on-the-job training, and it exposes you to a number of different jobs through job tours, and they assist with helping you figure out where you want to go rather than just, hey, here's a job. It's where do you want to go? How do we get you there? And that's the really good thing about it, is because they not only show you what's available on the surface, but what's in the background. Like I had mentioned, not knowing that there was a maintenance wing at a hotel. And it's very helpful.
The other piece that I'd add to it is the partnership with employers. So it's not only working with job seekers, people who are looking for work, but also with employers to kind of dig into, as Julie was saying, what are all of the opportunities at your business? And then how do you make a match that works for the employer as well as the employee? And you try it out on both sides. And you can try multiple.
I love that. Why does she get to be the labor commissioner? I get corrections,
That
right?
can be next. Laura, can you talk about that progressive employment, but over the years, there's been a continuous effort to have new programs to help people with substance abuse, incarceration. Can you talk about the change in the 16 years and what we're doing today to really get people into the workforce?
I think we're casting the net wider to try to make sure, and we've always said that we want to make sure that we serve everyone. I think right now we really are trying to figure out how do we do a better job of serving everyone and meeting people where they're at, and then identifying a path that aligns with your aspirations as well as the opportunities. We are trying to break down silos so that we're not just addressing one, it's not as though, well, here's the program for formerly incarcerated people over here, here's the program for vets over here, here's the program for people with disabilities over here. I think as a workforce system, we've always had those services, and it's hard to break down those silos, but I think we really are trying to address the needs of individual people, recognizing folks as whole people, and then wrapping whatever supports and services we can around them. But you've been in workforce way longer than I have, Lee.
Yes, I have, but I'm not the guest here. So, Randy, what are we doing to prepare residents going to the workforce?
So right now I have 2,100 people in my care and I have 6,000 on probation. And we have 1,200 staff, 1,237. And our job really is, our vision is that when someone arrives in our care, to do a good assessment to determine just exactly what their needs are. And we know that people that arrive in our care with mental health issues, substance use disorder, they've had poverty, neglect, a lot of trauma backgrounds. And so we determine that very quickly. And then we have a non-adversarial environment where we, with them, navigate that time. If they do a 5-year bid, we know that they can get a GED, get a college degree, get a welding certificate, become a commercial truck driver, all those things that the state of Maine needs. And, I've been at this for 44 years, both law enforcement on the road and in corrections. And my first assignment in the Army was at a hard labor camp. The troops would dig holes all day and fill them in the second half of the day. I mean, just totally ridiculous, with no positive outcomes, right? And then in the civilian world, I had seen it in the jails, I'd seen a lot of warehousing. And even when I got to the prison in 2015, a lot of warehousing, a lot of people walked in, no hope. You take hope away, you take programming away, you take treatment away, what do you get, right? And we ask ourselves that for the $287 million that the taxpayers pay for the system, what's the expectation? What's the return on the investment for the community? And we really think that overall, we need to release people that are healthier and prepared for release, right? And that means 3 primary things. That means housing, right? That means treatment, if they need treatment, and then employment, that's what they need. And they can be successful, and if we don't prepare them for that, they'll keep coming back. And nationally, my peers, my commissioners throughout the nation, there are often systems that have 60% return to custody rates, where within 3 years, 60% of the time something happens and people come back to the prison system. And currently in Maine, it's 21% for the general population, 9% for the women. And if you obtain a college degree, at least an associate degree, and we have 160 college students right now, 12 graduate students, I think 5 PhD candidates right now in the system. they come back at a rate of 0.05%. So you think about, like with all of us, if we have an education, a formal education, we have more opportunity and we don't come back. And so we invest heavily in that. And so that's our work, really, to have a non-adversarial climate where people aren't us against them, right? We train that early on in the academy, that your job is to help navigate, to mentor, to really help them through their time at POC and release in a healthy way. And you know, one of the things that Governor Mills did early on was the first executive order was to expand Maine Care, and that allowed an additional 140,000 people to get treatment prior to being incarcerated. Imagine that, right? Opening the doors for treatment prior to coming. And then our second executive order was to ensure that people have medication-assisted treatment while they're in custody. And that leveled everybody off and allowed them to take the time. And then we furthered that, having a smooth transition back into the community with treatment. And there's been about a 60% reduction in overdose deaths as a result of that work. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to do that work, and we try to, it's been really great to partner with Department of Labor, Department of Education, the community college system is really good, providing those vocational trades. And then we also do the educational piece with UMA. And I'm an adjunct professor at UMA, and when I sit graduate, yes, I'm a graduate of UMA. And when I sit in the studio and teach restorative justice or mental health and corrections, there's a camera above me that has the text and whatever else I need to show the students. There's a camera in front of me. I'll have 10 students in class. I'll have another 8 or 10 that are home with a baby on the hip, trying to get through school, right? Like I did as an adult or adult learner. And then I'll have 4 or 5 from the prison system that are zooming in also. So it's a very normative environment there with 3 Mainers, you know? And do not feel bad about that. We love babies here. Do we love babies?
Yes.
You know, I feel bad about that. So you know, that's what we're trying to do, normalize that. And then I offer to the free Mainers, the out in the community, in lieu of a term paper, which is a beautiful phrase, right? In lieu of a term paper, you can tour 2 facilities in the state prison system. And so they go to MCC, they go to the Women's Center, or they come to the Maine State Prison. And then those free Mainers are toured through the facility by an incarcerated resident. Through the facility, we circle up, we do some healing circles, we do some restorative work, and they get much more out of that. So that's the environment we're trying to create, a redemptive, healing sort of environment. Everybody want to call you out on that, is that what you're saying? Okay.
No, I was gonna ask, are your employees required to do like trauma informed?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
everything's trauma
That's
focused,
good to hear.
especially with the women, because we find 99% of them are victims, right? They're victims of domestic violence, sexual assault. I find the women population is so important to work with and be informed. Things like in a male facility, we may yell, you know, line up for count, yelling and screaming, or
Right.
women don't want to hear that. That doesn't work well, or that triggers many of them, right? And so we do a lot of that sort of work that is more, that women are more responsive to, more effective.
Talk a little bit about the Machias pilot program.
Yeah, so our jail diversion program that we work with is in partnership with Maine State Pre-Trial, where Washington County is the pilot site. So we've been working really closely with Washington County Treatment Court. I think
Everything that I do, I learn as I go. And I said, well, he goes, do you have a name for it? And I was like, no, not really. But I think that because of the lived experience I have and all this need, because I was just showing up. I know when I started, I go to the Penobscot County Jail 3 times a week, and I literally showed up with a proposal in a folder for the sheriff that said very important, and I stood in the lobby in the door until he came up and saw me, because I knew there was a need of people that were getting out that needed that service, that needed somebody. Recovery justice coaches are the same as recovery coaches, but they are lived experience with justice involvement. So it became a little piece of paper, and now it's a huge thing. We're on our 3rd year. I did secure 2 years of funding last year, so I think, or 3 years. So I think I have another 18 months to kind of breathe. But the work that we do is like, I know some people that I've had in our program too that huge success stories, and it's about walking along beside people. What is it that you need? What can I help you with? What does recovery look like for you? And accepting all pathways to recovery, because that's a barrier in itself. Some people, even 12-step programs don't accept if you're on this MAT or if you're on that MAT, but you know what, a recovery coach is separate than a sponsor, but we do support all pathways to recovery. Whatever you say is what we're gonna do. And then I kind of just put myself, I think we started with Jody at Leading the Way. We started up there. We actually had quite a few people up there. So there's all sorts of success stories in this room.
Leading the Way is working for you? I mean, you're working with them and that's going okay?
With Leading the Way?
Yeah.
We kind of just on referral basis, but when we first started, we were there every week, like sitting up, posting up, like helping whoever wanted help up
That's
there.
transitional housing from
Transitional,
DOC.
yeah, housing,
At Orthopedics Complex.
And then, you know, or, hey, do you have time, run up here, we have a couple people that wanna see you, it worked out great, and I kind of put myself in treatment court, put the program there, and kind of just went to go see how that was gonna do, but for, I think the first year, I was by myself, and so right now I'm by myself. Because it's such an intense thing to do, you have to stay really committed to helping, and we need people in these positions that have the lived experience, that know the boundaries, like it's not easy. I mean, I've been out going on 16 years and it's rough, it's been rough. So all the barriers that I've had in this community, I just use in this program, and then I, you know, train to help facilitate different programming within that. But most of the time it's just recovery coaching, showing up, a lot of court dates, sorry. My mind's all over the place because it's so big. But a lot of court dates, a lot of things that people don't think of walking in the courthouse. I meet a lot of people on the steps, let's go in together, let's do this. Hey, I missed my court date, what do I do? I'm right there with them, let's do this. So the schedule's a little full. But the Penobscot County work, and I also go into Maine Correctional Center. We were going there because of funding last year. We ended up not going as we were going every month, but I'd like to get us back on track of going there every month. Andrea Sloan has been wonderful, and
She's great. Yeah, she's
and
great.
having, and it was really full circle to walk in those doors and offer services to those that are getting out, because I spent 8 years of my life there.
But you provide that example for them to
Yeah.
hope to be successful on the outside, right?
Yep, and it was kind of weird. It was like I saw different parts of the prison being torn down that I was like in a part of, because you know, when I first got incarcerated, I didn't know who I was, how I was going to make this work, or how it was going to happen, and I spent a lot of times in their NPU. But it's good. They have good stuff down there. I think I did. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing at the barn, a lot of that, but I also oversee all the programs at the barn, so each one is kind of different. We have general recovery coaching, and we have a healthy Acadia interns that are up to 3 years that we host there as well, and Eastern Maine Development Corporation work experiences. We're almost on a full year that we've been doing that, which in the beginning was just like trying to figure out all the logistics of it. I think it's running a lot smoother. Right now I have one, and I'm bringing on another one on the 1st, and then hoping that it's going to keep going. We have people that want to do it, that want to learn recovery coaching skills and what it's like to work in a recovery center, and I think it's good. I'm really appreciative of Eastern Maine Development Corporation and Department of Corrections and the Labor Department. I actually started my career here in Bangor through the Career Center, and I don't believe Eastern Maine Development Corporation was here, but I'm not really sure how that long you guys did that, but I was in pre-release, and then we took a bus here.
Back then it was TDC, Training and
Yes,
Development.
it was called something different, but I worked with Marty Kelly.
Yes, good.
And so she ended up saying, I think I have the right job for you, because I had been in so long.
And
but
here you are.
I finished my associate's degree in pre-release, but she said at Acadia Hospital, she helped me do the resume and all that stuff. I didn't know my work that I did in the prison was gonna help, and so I ended up going to Acadia and worked there for 6.5 years, but I also worked on the weekends at KFC Taco Bell on Broadway. And I add that because I know this gentleman, what is your name? Julian had mentioned I could get a job even as a janitor, but it's like whatever job that I could get, I was willing to get, and I still do the same thing, and I pass that on to people that I help. Well, I know it's not this, it's not, and we don't make a lot of money at Barn, and we don't make a lot of money at City Council, so I learned that early on that like you take what you can get and you be very successful at what you're doing.
Thank you.
Very inspiring.
Very much so.
I don't know, it's really hard. The election was really hard, and one day I will talk about that with people in a totally different setting, and it's still hard. People are very judgmental, like we were talking about earlier, and very set in their ways, and I have to respect that. And
I think the more we work
do the
together.
work. Yes.
Working together and keeping things local will
Yeah.
overcome that kind of stuff. And both commissioners lead by example in their departments and in their programs. How do you treat people with kindness?
Yeah.
And be generous to others and have a reciprocal relationship. At the prison, they call them residents. They're not inmates, they're not prisoners, but they're residents.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing, and I think it's been awful, but I think together, if we stay together locally, we're gonna offset some of the bigger stuff happening.
Yep.
Robert, any challenges you're facing that you can share with everybody?
I guess
When you're talking to participants, do they like that you have similar type backgrounds?
the relation,
What difference does that make?
that helps a lot. So I guess the biggest difficulty is having that relation is a lot of people want to work with, because I have that same background. Caseloads grew really fast. I'm okay with that. I was diving away myself for a while. That gave me a big
The resource
opportunity.
that worked out for you?
Yeah, I was able to save money. I also was part of the e-bike pilot. The buyers was part of that. They referred me over. So that opened up my schedule because I was on treatment court. I didn't have a lot of options for work. And I'm from Roostick. I always had a lot of pretty decent jobs. I traveled with construction, windmills, bridges, working lumber mills, garages. But I couldn't work like a 6 to 5 or 6 to 6 or anything, so I ended up going down to Wendy's. And I was walking at first. I got that e-bike. Getting that e-bike opened up my schedule, opened everything up. I ended up getting another job that doubled up. Mobile moved up pretty quick. Like I was saying, like it's not ideal, but it's something. And if you're going to show up, it shows that you're going to show up and you're going to be, a hard worker. They moved me up quickly to an AGM, assistant general manager over at the Taco Bell, gave me a key to the door to save. And with my background, that was surprising to me. By having that trust, it just built my confidence. And I was working a lot overnights and I was getting exhausted, and then the opportunity here opened up, and I came a lot over, when the IOPs go to the treatment courts, we just ran into each other, seemed with a lot. She encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone and apply. Like I said, I've never sat in an office before, but I do, being on treatment court, you kind of grow into a little dysfunctional family with everybody. And I wanted to stay in the community, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so that's what the opportunity to kind of do that. And I've been part of the program, I've spent time at Wyndham and Mountain View and Downey's Corrections. I'd say having that experience is nothing but probably beneficial. It wasn't fun at the time, really, but it's beneficial to me now. And
Good that you down east.
Yeah, I was down at Mount Blueberry working. Yeah, I'm gonna go down and see Patty sometime soon. She's been asking.
That's a good one.
Yeah, she is. But yeah, those programs have made a big difference.
Commissioners, what can you two do, corrections and labor do together?
We got a grant proposal that's coming up.
There's also a jobs for the future, and we got a $300,000 grant there, and we'll bring those stakeholders together for probably an 18-month planning sort of, you went down to Atlanta, and we have representation from all the departments and stakeholders. Talk about the planning and where this is going to lead.
Yeah, so Maine was one of 4 states in the country. Oregon, North Carolina, why am I drawing a blank?
Four of what, 31?
4 of 36 or 31 applied, so it was an honor. And I think the idea was that Maine was ready to partner across systems. And so labor corrections, education, and more. I was lucky to get in there, I think simply because there might be an idea down the road. What can we do? I do think it was luck. I was like, why am I here? This is the greatest experience. Right? Because I'm sitting there with people from MPAC and DOE and DOL, and it was incredible. But the opportunity, I'm using the pen, Fair Chance to Advance is the oversight company. And they have a highly sophisticated plan about how they can scale this integration so that people coming out of detention can be educated, can be trained, can be part of the workforce, and just come back into the world. There was a lot of talk about let's not punish people again after they get out, and that had real meaning to like everyone in the room. Tons of people with lived experience contributing in this space and also helping lead the project, so that felt really good. But I think Maine is just getting started in terms of let's reach around to each other and help each other get this done. And we were talking about what happens here, what happens in Washington County. These are really important things that we already had in place, and I think that speaks to why Maine got selected. You know,
There's a
about reform.
$300,000 planning grant, so everybody's included, everybody's voice is heard, everyone that's impacted. And then I think it's 1.4 million to do the work. So there's help coming from the feds, and it's all the departments working together with all the stakeholders. So that's something that's in the future is going to happen, and I think it will be very successful.
Very good. To the people enrolled in the program, is there anything you want to add? Does this make you feel better to hear these guys talk, or do you feel, how do you feel?
I don't feel alone anymore. Like, everyone has a similar story, and actually really interesting stories. My story began with Julian with the tech class, and I really enjoyed that class, and then it just went further from that, and I was talking to vocational rehab, and then started working with Miss Bernard, and put together a program for me that would work, and established it. I've been working on a curriculum. There's really no curriculum for a high school mindset. And I had to learn the material. And I do work with about 3 people at this moment, and one's working in language arts, and the other one's in math. But and I have barriers also besides like a legal barrier. I do have legal barriers that I'm trying to get over, and I actually filed a petition for a pardon last week, actually 2 weeks ago, and hopefully that works out well. I also have a medical issue that is a huge barrier, and I thought in the beginning when I started with this program, I thought getting here on time in the morning, because I have a prosthetic leg, and yes, yeah, you have to put more time in the morning to get ready. It does, and at nighttime you have to get everything cleaned and prepared for tomorrow. So there's no just going home and relaxing ever, or waking up in the morning and just thinking you're just going to get out of bed and you're yes. You have to make sure it fits, and then you have to know how to adjust things if they don't fit, because your legs adjust to the amount of the types of food you eat, or types of amount of exercises that you've done. So yeah, it's a huge barrier, and we've overcome them barriers, and I have other things in my program also, because I think recovery isn't just one piece. It's not one piece of vocational. I go to the barn often. I attend Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and the barn is wonderful. I love that place. My first day when I went to the barn, my first meeting, it's been over a year now, and I was so welcomed on that first meeting, and there was no way I wasn't coming back. It was great.
That's great. Well, you're doing really great. Any other participants want to add before we close?
I'll just say, I really enjoyed hearing, I wouldn't have known those things, and I think the Fair Chance to Advance is intriguing slogan because going to what you had said before about like not being able to pay or somebody having the means to, and I would plead guilty just to get out on with a fine that I knew I was not going to be able to pay, but at least I was out. I had addictions that I had to feed, and you know, and so I would get arrested over and over and over again. And exactly what she had said, I became a risk to not get, you know, pretrial or something like that. I was so grateful to be able to go over and find a place that I wanted to work in because I'm in college for human services. I would like to one day open a place like Macaulay here in Bangor, but a big gap in our recovery community is that there's not a place for like single fathers or families to go, and I got clean with my daughter. I came into recovery pregnant and I got clean with her, and it changed everything for me. I learned how to be a sacrificial parent and a sober mom and woman, and when I was in school and I wanted to see if that was the course, like I didn't want to waste my money for school and then not be able to get a job because of my criminal background, which is like 15 years old, but it's still very present to people that look it up, you know? And being able to have somebody vouch for me from this program and say, listen, you know, she's a good person, we'd really like to have her, you know, implant her in you can see how she is as an employee. And I was extended a job opportunity after that. And never in a million years did I think I would ever be able to do something like that. And it's boosted my confidence, being trusted, have people telling me that I do a great job. Like those type of things feel so good from somebody who has never really been given a chance, you know? And not just that, but it's taught me so much responsibility and made me so much more grateful for the life that I have today and have zero interest in trying to, you know, not keep the boundaries in my life to keep my past out of it. And clemency is something that I am gonna fight for because, you know, I was a kid, I was dumb, my addiction, I never committed a crime not in active addiction, you know, and it's just too bad that those things follow you the rest of your life.
Well, you're doing great now. We're gonna, before I ask the commissioners to just make some closing remarks, I wanna introduce EMDC Board Chair Dennis Damon, who's a former state senator, former county commissioner, and most importantly, in the Maine Baseball Hall of Fame.
You never know where he's going.
And I just want to say there's one way to know this was very successful. Do you guys know how this was successful? How do we determine that? Theodore is asleep. So with that, Commissioner Fortman, would you make some closing remarks and then we'll have Commissioner?
Yeah, it's impossible to follow you as always. I do want to say a couple of things. First of all, thank you. Thank you for your honesty, your willingness to share, and for pointing out some things that we're doing right, and also some areas that we need to think about to build on. And I guess the commitment is that we will continue to do the work that we have been doing and maybe figure out if there are things we can add to that. You know, I've heard the e-bikes talked about several times today. We've been trying to figure out, you know, should we try to expand that somehow? That's a collaboration with our partners at the Department of Transportation. As Randy said, one of the things that Governor Mills did when she brought us in was she said that she expected us to work together. You know, that this is, you know, that we were all part of the team and that we needed to work together. And we do try very hard to do that. And it's pretty easy because I've got colleagues like Randy. But that e-bike piece, we definitely want to see if there's something we can do there. Continuing the partnership, expanding the work that JFF has laid the foundation for is on their list. And then one thing, we talked a lot today about, Julian, you talked about it, you did, and I think that you did as well, about feeling like, okay, this is a job, I'll show up, I'll do it. I am a firm believer in, you know, tackling any job that's there and putting my all into it. I also want to say that if you are not being treated properly by an employer, that's okay to flag. There have been instances where kind of disreputable employers use either someone's criminal background or their immigration status against them to exploit them. And I do want to say that, you know, the other thing we do at the Department of Labor is to provide those worker protections. So I hope no one ever feels like they have to just stay in any job and not be treated fairly, and that you reach out to us. And so one of the things I'd like to figure out, and I don't know if we can help you figure it out, maybe Elizabeth or some of the other people in the work, is how can we do a better job of connecting people up front to employment in a more seamless way, so that it doesn't, and I know, you know, we see the career centers, we're all trying to do what we can do, but is there a better way to connect people, so that you don't have to figure out like how to get to it, but somehow we do a better job of connecting up front.
One program I'd like to make you aware of, if you haven't been involved in this. So a few years ago, I had received a call from Colby College to ask me if I could, you know, if I would allow one of my residents from Maine State Prison to do a 3-year bid to be an adjunct professor at Colby in a hybrid way, soon, right? And so, I'm not sure if you're aware of this either, but the average lifespan for a corrections commissioner nationally is about 2.5 years before we do something to get fired. And all the time, my colleagues, we get emails like once every other week, John decided to retire. Spend more time with his family, he's 40 years old, right? That's the code for you get fired when another guy gets fired. So anyways, I consulted with my boss, my wife, and she said it was okay to proceed with this risk. And so we allowed that to happen, and a few semesters later, I received a call from the governor, which for corrections is never good. I don't know if you get a phone call. Saturday night at the movies, I gotta take this. And she said, tell me that he's not teaching at Colby. And I told my wife, get my bags, we're packing up my office. And I said, that in fact is true, and I let that happen. But you know, he earned $27,000 last year, and he gave $1,000 to the indigent resident fund for the residents that don't have any money. And he also gave $1,000 to the homeless shelter. He paid $880 for a great job for his mother to go to work. He paid tuition for his nephew to go to school. And she's like, wow, good work. And so then when I heard that, here we go. And so since then, we've had 45 people working remotely from inside the prison system. Okay, so I have one woman doing a 30-year bid down at the Women's Center, and she's a grant manager for a healthcare company on the outside. I think she's earning $60 a year.
Yeah, she does fantastic.
Fantastic, right. Unbelievable. I have another one, and the most outrageous one, I had another one that came from Virginia. One of the representatives reached out to me and said, is there a possibility we could transfer this Maine resident that's in Virginia, bring him home because his parents are scared and it's not a safe environment. Brought him home, he went to UMA, picked up a certificate in paralegal, and was working for a law firm on the outside from MCC, and was released, and then became employed with them and still with them today.
Wow.
Right? So this is, we're talking employment, right? And so the most outrageous one is a guy named by the name of Preston Thorpe, and he was on national news, and if you Google him, you'll see that he self-taught coding and transferred from New Hampshire, and he made 160 last year from Mountain View. He's a senior software engineer in San Francisco from the prison, from his cell.
Right.
So, and when I sit at criminal justice public safety, I think your committee may be easier than mine. I have, 4 law enforcement folks, right on the right-hand side, over the right side, and then I have prison abolitionists that believe I'm evil because I run prison system, and I'm trying to find, I'm too hard, I'm too soft, and and the ones on the right that are tough on crime say, where's the punishment in this? I say, our job is not to punish. Our job is to help them navigate through the system and release better than what they were. And so I say to them, if you care about the communities, you care about their families, often when I was doing investigations, there may be somebody that's doing burglaries, maybe 30 burglaries before we catch them. They owe $50,000 to victims. If you care about victims, right, since my contact there, some of you have heard rumor of that, you owe $50,000 to these victims. And if you're working a lathe at the Maine State Prison, you might make $300 a month, right? And so you send $30 a month to the 80-year-old widow who may have lost $10,000 in items. This gentleman can send $1,000 a month for that widow and really make her whole, redeem the community. He's redeemed, he feels better. He pays his mortgage, he pays his tuition for his children, he pays child support, and he pays room and board to the Maine Department of Corrections for the honor of living at the prisons, right? Everybody wins there, and that quiets the tough on crime folks, and the people at prison abolition's like, maybe you're not so bad after all, Randy, right? And that makes sense. I had one gentleman that's doing a 38-year bid, he's done 32 years of that, he arrived when he was 18, he's gonna release in about 4 years. He was able to buy a home in Auburn. He never thought he'd be a homeowner. He has never paid Social Security, so he thought he had released at 55 with no opportunities. He just got his master's degree, just bought his own home, and we released him. He's renting to free Mainers as a resident, right? So there's hope, there's opportunity. If we're innovative, we're creative, we trust people, you know, we can make this happen. So people are applying for jobs from the prison, telling their employer, oh, by the way, I'm incarcerated, well, you're a really good employee, you know? And because we've broken that cycle, people are starting to believe that to be true. So if you're innovative and you're trying to work things out, you're trying to make the community stronger, make families stronger, people don't return, you can do things when you work with DOL, DOE, community college system, it all works, everybody wins. That's the word according to Randy. Amen.
I like it.
Amen.
Okay, that's it. Thank everybody. Very inspirational from you guys and from the commissioners, so it's a good combination, and thank you.
Real honor to spend time with you. Thank you for inviting me.